All right, let's talk about a really fun story today. It's called The Great Fuzz Frenzy, and trust me, it gets pretty wild. Okay, before we dive in, let me ask you something. Have you ever wanted something, like really, really wanted it, and then you find out that everyone else wants it too? Yeah, that feeling. Hold on to that thought, because that's exactly what this story is all about for a whole town of prairie dogs. So our story kicks off with a ton of excitement and maybe a little bit of chaos. Something's falling out of the sky, and you can just hear the prairie dogs yelling for everyone to run and hide. But before we find out what that mystery thing is, let's quickly talk about what kind of story we're getting into. This is Section 1, a story about fuzz. So, you should know, the Great Fuzz Frenzy is what we call a fantasy. And really, all that means is it's a make-believe story. Stuff happens that couldn't happen in real life. Like in this book, the prairie dogs can talk, and they have these huge personalities, acting just like people. They get happy, they get jealous, and they learn some pretty big lessons, just like we do. And that brings us to Section 2, the Great Fuzz Discovery. This is where the real adventure gets going. Okay, so after all that noise, the boink, the plunk, the thump, this weird round thing lands right in the middle of town. All the prairie dogs are hiding, just peeking out, and they're all wondering, what is that thing? Now, this is a great time to meet our two main characters. On one side, we've got Pipsqueak. She's tiny, but she is super curious and really, really brave. And on the other side, we've got Big Bark. He's the grumpy one. He's got a loud mouth, and he likes to act like he's the boss. So while everybody else is too scared to move, little Pipsqueak gets her courage up. She runs right over and just pokes the mystery thing. And guess what she finds? It's not scary at all. It's fuzzy. She pulls us a little piece, pops it on her head, and boom, just like that, every other prairie dog decides they absolutely have to have some fuzz too. All that excitement, well, it leads us right into our next part, and it's the big problem of the story. Section 3, Fighting Over Fuzz. This is where things start to get a little tricky. So, that word in the title, frenzy, let's talk about that. A frenzy is basically when a whole group gets super, super excited about something. Maybe a little too excited, and things get wild. And believe me, this whole town is about to go into a complete and total fuzzed frenzy. And oh, it was definitely a frenzy. They went absolutely crazy for this fuzz. They were pulling it, puffing it, stretching it, and fluffing it. They were putting it everywhere, on their ears, their tails, you name it. They got so into it that they started giving themselves these goofy names based on their new fuzz decorations. You had your frilly dogs, your funny dogs, even super dogs. The whole thing was just one giant, silly, fuzzy party. But, the party had to end. That big fuzzy thing, which was really a tennis ball, ran out of fuzz. And now, some prairie dogs had a ton of it, and some had zero. And this is what started the big fuzz feud. Seriously, friends started fighting with other friends all over a little bit of fuzz. And just when you think things can't get any worse, a way bigger problem shows up. Let's move to Section 4. A featherly foe appears. And a foe, by the way, is just another word for an enemy. Right in the middle of all the fighting, this huge shadow falls over the town. Uh-oh, it's a giant eagle. And it swoops down and grabs the one prairie dog with the most fuzz, Big Bark. And even though they were all just mad at him, in that split second, they remembered he was one of them. They had to do something. So that's the big question, right? They were just in the middle of a huge fight. How in the world are they supposed to forget all that and work together to save him? Well, that question leads us to the absolute best part of this whole story. Section 5, Teamwork Saves the Day. Let's see how they pull this off. And this is where little Pipsqueak, the brave one, totally steps up. She starts shouting directions, and check out their plan. It's so smart. First, they all scramble to make a big circle. Then they hold out their paws to make a kind of safety net. And when Big Bark finally wiggles free from the eagle, plop, they catch him. Teamwork, right? Getting saved like that really changed Big Bark. He realized how much he needed his friends. So he stops being so mean and starts using that big, loud bark of his for good. He becomes the town's official watchdog, always on the lookout for that eagle. So after all that craziness and the big rescue, what's the point of it all? Let's wrap things up with our last section, the story's big message. Pipsqueak really says it best. She just looks at the whole mess and says, "Fuzz is trouble." And she's right. She realized that the one thing they were all fighting over wasn't important at all. It just made them forget what really matters, looking out for each other. And that's really what the authors are trying to do. They wanted to write a really fun, silly story that would make you laugh, but they also hit a super important lesson inside of it about friendship and sticking together. So, let's just go over the big lessons here. Number 1, teamwork is way stronger than fighting. Number 2, sharing is so much better than being greedy. And the biggest one? Friends are way more important than things, or, fuzz. And this story also shows us that anybody, even a grumpy guy like Big Bark, can change for the better. And that leaves us with one last thing to think about. The prairie dogs learned that sharing their teamwork was way better than keeping all the fuzz for themselves. So, what's something you could share with a friend today? Thanks so much for joining me for this fuzzy story.